Hi everybody, how's it going? This is Eden Maybon of Light Cycle Astrology. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to take a look at the new moon that happens over this weekend on Saturday in the sign of Aquarius. And before we get into the meaning, let's pull up the real-time clock, because one thing that we do see very interesting about this new moon as it's about to form is that there is a moment where the moon has to exit the sign of Capricorn. On its way out, it passes by Pluto here. So I think that's really interesting because the moon is a general symbol for circumstances and environmental conditions, such as what happens in a family, just the general mood or circumstance or environment around us. That's one thing that the moon can symbolize. So as it's passing by Pluto on its way out of Capricorn to merge with the sun in Aquarius next door, it's as if there is something environmentally a little bit intense. New moons can also represent not just a time of beginnings, but also a time of something maybe coming to an end or winding down. And that's because oftentimes when something is beginning in our lives, there needs to be room for that something to have space within your life. So sometimes things have to go out in order for new things to come in. So that's one important designation for a new moon, is not just something that is beginning, but also something that may be winding down or coming to an end. And because the moon sweeps by Pluto on its way out of Capricorn, I think that that is potentially the case for this new moon in Aquarius here. Now, the other thing that is really important that I've talked about in other videos is that there is happening simultaneously in the same sign this Venus-Saturn conjunction, which is almost, you could think of it like interwoven into the lunation cycle ahead. It's it colors the cycle very, very heavily. And it's, if you think of a new moon as a seed that is sprouting, what kind of soil is that seed sprouting in? It's a kind of Venus conjunct Saturnine kind of soil. Another interesting thing is that if we go forward by the time of the full moon, which is going to represent the culmination of whatever is sprouting now. So the seed that is sprouting, how do we get the meaning of it? Sometimes it's helpful just to take a look at that full moon moment, because that is essentially the ripening of that seed that is bearing fruit. So I think it is, if memory serves, it's Matthew 7:20 or something, where it says something like, by the fruit you shall know it, or by the fruit you shall know them, rather. So what kind of fruit do we see? Well, we jump ahead a couple of weeks by February the 5th at the time of the full moon that is taking place in the sun's temple. So it's interesting. We have the moon opposite to the sun in the sun's fiery, solid, or fixing temple. So that is what is going to be reflected. That's what the moon will reflect, rather, a kind of Leo solar energy that is getting that reflection of the solar energy itself in the sign of Aquarius. And by that point, one very, very interesting thing is we see that Venus is now in the sign of Pisces, the sign of Venus's exaltation. So let's just think about this. We have a big Venus-Saturn kind of soil that the new seed sprouts in over the weekend. By the time that seed is culminating or fruiting, we see that Venus has moved into her exaltation sign, and the moon is also exalted herself in a Venus sign of Taurus. So you get a sense that whatever this new moon is about, for sure, it has something to do with Venus and a lot to do with Venus-Saturn. So that is something right off the bat. Now, I think that in general, what this is going to portend or mean is there is some kind of mature and stabilized creative idea, or a new or old relationship, or a job that is the job you do that provides the provisions to the home. One of those three broad categories could be a creative idea, because we're talking about Aquarius, could be a new relationship as seen by Venus, maybe throwing out an old relationship and making room for a new relationship by the signature of that new moon moment, or it could be an old relationship or an established relationship that becomes more committed or longer lasting. Or the third broad category is there may be like a job, right? A Saturn type of thing, a job that is the provider for the provisions to the home, tying in the symbolism of the moon, of Venus there being more of a symbol for not so much money, but the comforts and the food quality that Venus sometimes indicates, bringing all of those things together. One of these three big broad categories, I think, is meant to ripen into a more established sense of personal authority, that Leo quality, and or a center of gravity for some kind of higher life purpose. And that's oftentimes what we get when we talk about Leo. Authority, purpose, a center of gravity that is connected to something higher that sometimes we forget. And I think as the new moon is sprouting and on its way to culmination in that sign of Leo, it's as if it helps us remember, or it brings us back to a reflective space that reminds us of perennial truths regarding duty to loved ones and that which must be balanced for a duty of our own personal enjoyment for ourselves. That is really what I think this is about, is that balancing between Aquarius and Leo. Leo is very much concerned with the central purpose, or the center of organization as it pertains to our goals, ambitions, our light on the stage of life, as you will, the way that we shine within our day-to-day life, and our legacy, of course. And Aquarius is opposite of that. So Aquarius has this sense of, well, don't get too blinded by your own personal ambition or goals, or don't think that you're the only one on the stage. Aquarius kind of has that Saturnine quality that knocks those things back enough to become balanced. So I think that this is really a balancing act that is taking place. Don't be too far away from your own personal gravity, but don't be so close that that's all you can see. It's as if there is something that needs to be balanced. There is a reflection that needs to be beheld by the time that the full moon is coming around in the sign of Leo, and it has that connection to duty because it's growing and seeding all within a Saturn sign and conjoining with Saturn, so that duty-bound quality of Saturn, and then connected to something around Venus, which for a lot of us is going to be something that we either love or something that has to do with what is creative or enjoyable to us. So personal joy, personal creativity, personal, even I guess you could bring it into like the social realm, personal ways in which we socialize. But all of those things that are personal in the sign of Leo must kind of be balanced with duty to our family, duty to things that we have to do for money or work that provide provisions, things like that. So that is the general meaning that I am thinking that this new moon is going to unfold as we get more and more into the lunation cycle for the month ahead here. Okay, well, please tell me what you guys think about the new moon in Aquarius with all of these things happening. I'd love to hear it. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow. I really appreciate all the new subscribers. Thanks so much, everybody, for checking out the videos and liking and commenting. It's been really great to get all those comments and see all the new subscribers that are checking out my channel. I really appreciate that. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.